Alright, so you guys saw the title, you saw the thumbnail. Today is a day that we have been looking forward to since before we even got the bikes, really. And as you guys already know, today we are going to be installing the E-Moto Bros BAC4000. So we just got one of these for now. We're going to be putting it on my bike. He's going to get one probably next drop or so. So we'll be able to do some cool comparisons at least between the two. Now, if you want to pick one of these up for yourselves, we're going to leave everything linked down in the description below. The controller itself right here only drops like once a month from E-Moto Bros. There's also lots of different brands slash manufacturers you could get them from that make their own tune for the ASI controller, but we went with E-Moto Bros. They seem to be the most reputable. Also decided to get alongside the controller, got all the shroud gear, basically like the plates and everything to help better protect it. That was like an extra $100. Yeah, so real quick before we hop into the install, the price, everything that you're seeing right here was about $1,100 shipped to the door. It got here in like less than a week, and yeah man, this is going to be so exciting. This right here should change up the bike just entirely. And I don't know if you guys saw the last video or so, but my bike is for some reason slower than his, so hopefully this will fix that as well. But yeah, that's really enough talking. I think the next thing we got to do is just go ahead and hop into the install. So the very first thing you want to do before you get into installing or taking apart anything is you want to go in here, you're going to turn the bike off, turn the breaker off, unplug everything, and go ahead and get the battery fully disconnected. Make sure there's no charge in here. Light did, yep, light came on. And then yeah, battery or the power's out of the bike now. Next thing you're gonna want to do is go ahead and take the bash guard off. It's 4 bolts, super easy to do.
All right, now that you got the bash guard off, there's this plastic cover right here. There's 1 bolt here on each side, and then there's 2 bolts here in the front. If you can see right there, and you just take those 4 bolts out and take this cover off.
There are actually 2 Phillips head screws that you got to take out on the front here.
Now that we got the plastic cover off, we're gonna take off the 4 main support bolts that hold the controller on. These 2 down here are 4mm, and these 2 up here are 3mm. After taking off these 2 top 3mm screws, you'll have this little plastic cover off. You take it off, and then it reveals these 2 other 4mm bolts.
All right, after that, the controller should be loose, and next up, you got to get your negative and positive terminals unfastened right here. Next up, we're just going to get the blue, green, and yellow ones loosened up right here. All right, and then to get the final connection for the stock controller loose, we're going to loosen up this bolt right here and the same one on the other side. Once those are loose, the plate right here should push back. It might take a little bit of force, and then you can get to the connectors to unplug the stock controller here. I don't know if I can get an angle on it. It's like right up in here though. It's the big connectors. You can't really miss it. All right, and then the controller is disconnected. And then the last thing we got to do is get the stock display off of here. We're going to go ahead and take the horn and everything off too because it's not usable. Well, the EP switch and everything is not usable with the new controller. And then also we're going to take off the switch plate right here. It's just 2 4mm Allen heads. So I just pulled on this little switch plate piece right here, and this just fell out of my bike. It's just a busted up piece of plastic. I have no idea what it is or where it goes to. Once you get the display loosened up from the handlebar, and however you figure out to get it back through here, we kind of just shoved it through the crack right here. You just got to unplug the connectors that are holding it in. All right, now that everything is finally uninstalled, all the stock stuff that is, we can get to installing the new BAC4000 over here. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do when installing the controller is it's going to come with these 6 bolts in it. There's 3 on each side, and we got to take those out because they're going to be replaced with ones that came in the hardware bag. Also, I just wanted to mention, because I actually went out of my way to email E-Moto Bros about this because I'm too smooth-brained to figure it out myself, but I thought I was missing a bunch of bolts that they talked about in the install video, but lo and behold, they were all already screwed into the controller right here. So if you're missing these 9 bolts, or if you're missing these 15 or so bolts right here, look in the controller before you start emailing them. So to get the plates installed, you want to take the 6 longest screws that are going to come in your hardware bag, and then the way that the plates are going to go, so the longer plate, this one right here, is going to go on the side with the connectors, and the shorter plate is going to go on this side. And also the orientation is, so this is the orientation that they sit on top of it as well right here. All right, after you get the plates on, you're going to want to test fit these 2 wires, make sure everything fits in place properly. You should hear them both click down, and yeah. All right, so the next step is going to be connecting the phase wire extension cables to the actual controller itself. And to do that, we're going to need, of course, the extension pieces.
You have the 3 pieces of heat shrink adhesive, and then the 3 extension cables, and then a nut and a bolt for each one.
We're going to go ahead and match up yellow, green, and blue here. Just put the extensions on each, screw it down. Yeah, make sure they're straight as you're tightening them down, I remember.
All right, now that we got the extensions on, I'm gonna go ahead and slide on the adhesive here.
Pretty much just goes on like so.
Yep, and then make sure that you don't cover up too much of this because you wanna make sure that you know which cables are which. And then also make sure that you don't slide it too far back because you do have a lot of plastic and a lot of rubber stuff back here that you don't want to melt whenever heating this down.
Just got finished shrinking down our heat wrap, and it'll be different for everybody depending on what you're using to heat it up with. We used a little torch, but you will know that you're done whenever you see adhesive oozing out on either side of the heat wrap.
You're gonna take the remaining hardware that came out of the bag to mount this up on here. That way it's a little more stable for you to work on. Just want to make a note that your phase wires should be up above the controller whenever you go to mount this up here. So the holes line up down here, and then you want the cables to come over the top. All right, so next we're going to take these 5 bolts, washers, and lock washers that came out of the terminals right here. We're actually going to use those to put the cable leads down onto their corresponding terminals. The blue cable will go to the W, the yellow cable will go to the V, and the green cable will go to the U. I just want to make a side note that whenever you go to put these bolts in, make sure that it is bolt, lock washer, and then washer. I got these hand tight now. I'm going to go ahead and crank them down with the ratchet.
Just to make sure they never come loose, because these, if they come loose, would start a fire.
So now the next thing is to connect your positive and negative terminals here, and also your ground. And what you're going to want to do here is you're going to want to put your ground on top of the negative and put your bolt through here, and then attach it to the negative terminal down here.
And then red to the positive terminal.
When you do tighten these down, make sure they're good and snug, but do not over tighten them because the standoffs are brass and you can rip straight through them. And also want to make a note,
it's kind of hard to see. See if I can get over here for a better angle. This little green wire right here, this little dude right here, needs to be taped up and out of the way, like to the harness basically.
So once you get all that stuff snugged up and everything, we're going to go to connecting the new wire harness to the existing membrane harness of the cables that are in there. You're going to have this white connector here, and you see this here? You'll have this square black connector. I know it's a little hard to see, but you can see the white piece on the inside, and that will help you determine the shape of the inside of this one, and that'll let you know that they're the right ones. All right, guys, it's the next day, and after countless attempts at getting these cables plugged in, we finally got them plugged in. This one here, we had to get it lined up just right for it to fit in there snug and actually
click into place. Like we didn't get it recorded, but they will actually click into place. Like, you will know that they are in.
And this one here, I actually
used this file.
Yeah, I used a file here to just barely take anything off the corner to just allow myself to just shove it in there.
It was too big. Like in other videos and stuff, you've probably seen people say that this one's a pain. This one is a pain. It does not fit. And it didn't fit for us, and we had to sand it down. All right, so now that we finally got everything hooked up, I'm pretty sure we're good to plug the battery in and make sure all is good. Okay, so we got everything plugged in. I guess there's no better way to do this. We just gotta flip the breaker on, and
battery comes on.
Did it?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how to turn it. Yeah, the ignition's over there. It's kind of sketchy holding the battery, I feel like.
Light comes on.
Light comes on and it's solid red. So yeah, I think you guys can probably see that pretty well on camera. If the light is solid red, you're good to go ahead and start finishing everything up, putting everything back together. If it's flashing red, go ahead and take a video of it, send it to whoever you got the controller from, and they will help you troubleshoot it. So now we're going to go ahead and get the bike finally put back together. We just got these 2 bolts back in. It's kind of tricky, not too bad. You just got to shove all the wires up in here as good as you can. Yeah, if you remember how they came out, it'll make it a lot easier getting them back in. But yeah, once that's done, we're going to take the 2 bolts that we took out of the top of the controller and screw in the new controller in these little spots right here. Alright, we pretty much got everything put back together. As you guys can see here, the controller's all buttoned up, bash guard's back on, this piece of plastic's back on right here, And now we just got to get the egg rider display hooked up. So we're going to start off by getting it put onto the bar here. It's just one little tiny Allen key, and then it opens up just like a clamp, and you just stick it on here. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get the egg rider plugged in now. We routed the wire. I'll show you guys real quick. Over the brake here, around here, and down through here. Make sure it doesn't get in the way whenever you turn the bars and stuff like that. And then on either piece of the egg rider connector, you got yourself a little tiny arrow. I don't think it picks up on camera at all. I'm sorry. But you just got to make sure the two arrows are lined up and it'll click right in. Make sure the arrows are lined up and it should just kind of plug on in. Just like so. Next up, we're going to get the switch plate put back on. This can also, from what I've heard, be quite a pain. Pretty much just got to make sure that all the wires that are coming out are in this little area that they can go out of without getting crushed. All right, we're getting the switch plate screwed back in. This was a pain, I'm not going to lie. But what made it a lot easier for us is once you get all your wires kind of out of the way, instead of just putting it straight down, this little spot right here, you want to slide it down in and then put it down, and it'll make everything a whole lot easier. You'll know what I'm talking about if you get this far. All right, now we got to drop the battery back in the bike. Battery's back in the bike. Let's make sure everything's working properly. So I'm going to flip the key on. Everything lights up. The egg rider does not come on. It's not supposed to. You press the button one time, and yeah, just like that, it pops up. So now I'm going to go ahead and get the app downloaded on my phone and try to hook up to this thing. All right, I just opened the app up. I didn't get to record in time, but there's this little spinning thing up here. You're supposed to wait till that's done, and then I think we just need to click on it here. Activate now, and then you're gonna see all this stuff here. You got your, your shop, your order number, your email, and everything. So go ahead and get all this information put in. Your order number is, your order number from where you got the bike from, or the controller from. All right, I hit activate. It brought me to this. I got an email that popped up with the code and everything, but I don't think I need to use it right now or whatever. So yeah, we can go ahead and look at all the settings in here. I'm not going to go super in depth into all these settings because there's a lot of videos explaining these, and it really just depends on which controller you got and everything. But I'll tell you guys the settings that I use, or I'll show you guys the settings that I put in after I get done. All right, so I just got my display settings set up. I figured I would show you guys real quick. All I did was I switched the preferred units to miles per hour. I changed the max speed to both road and off-road to 127. I set the wheel size to Sur-On 19-inch. I believe that's the right one. And then down here, I selected the 60-volt battery right there where it says select, and it went ahead and automatically put all that stuff in. But I did have to put the 32-amp capacity in. And then I went down here and I hit right. Now, I guess I will preface this real quick by saying, before you change any of this stuff, you need to hit read. Then you change stuff, then you hit right, it'll save, then you turn the display off and you turn it back on and reconnect, and that's how it properly saves. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to change the ASI settings here. All right, so I just got all my settings changed inside of here. This is what I put it to: 4800 for max power on both, 5000 for PAS max power, 430 for the motor phase current, 1 for the road regen, and 10% for the off-road regen. 127 kilometers an hour max speed, battery current limit 100%, and then field weakening, which this increases your top speed. I just did a little 10% boost since I'm still on the stock battery. And then yeah, to write this, you hit right. Of course, I hit read before all this to make sure it all did everything. So then after it's written, I'm gonna put the phone down, I'm gonna power the display off. Okay, I hit the power button. Okay, there we go. Maybe I didn't. And then power it back on. And I think the bike's good to go now. All right, so we just got everything hooked up. It definitely has a lot more power. It's got a little bit of lag to it still, but we haven't got everything, all the kinks figured out and everything. It's set to the 9th, the highest setting right now. Yeah, so what's it in? It's in road. How do we go to sport mode or off-road mode like that? Okay, cool. And then give it gas now while it's in off-road.
Oh, it's in the first setting.
Another thing I've heard a lot of people say that the stock throttle on this thing is just dungus. Yeah. And maybe I just need a better throttle for real. Dude, it did not used to do burnouts like that. To leave a mark on the ground like that, I had to sit there and hold my brake before. Dude's about to wreck both bikes. A quick ride around the yard. Initial impressions, it feels different. I don't know how to explain it. It almost feels less torquey than before even. Whenever you give it gas, there's even more of a delay before it does something. It's really hard to feel it or explain it unless you're sitting on the bike. But besides that, it makes this really loud sound whenever I'm moving. I'm going to try to get a clip of it so you guys can hear, but it made it before, but I thought it was the controller and I figured it would go away with the controller. But yeah, I mean, so far it's definitely better, but it's still not exactly what I was hoping for. All right, so there you guys have it. That is how you install the E-Moto Bros BAC4000. Now, before we finish this up, I have a few questions I want to ask you guys. So the first one is, the bike does not do burnouts now. Like, if you pull in the brake and give it gas, it does not go. And then the next thing is, like, it's so hard to describe, like, how, I'm going to try to go to this hill, like, how laggy it is now. Like, it's just like, you give it gas, and you hear it make noise first. That's in off-road. You go to road mode here, and it's even worse. You hear that? And then it goes, like it's not even going right now. And then it does that. Ow. But yeah, if you guys have any idea what is going on, please let me know in the comments below. But yeah, like I said, that is really going to wrap it up for this one. My dude Dakota's chilling in the shade over there in the garage. Yeah, once again, everything's linked down in the description below. Peace out. We'll see you guys in the next one.